I thought I already moved on from Bloodborne, but here I am coming back into the game again because we get a lot of news of Bloodborne. And I'm a bit late for talking about this because I've been actually waiting for a lot of newses, okay? Because like after like Bluepoint's shutdown from Sony, and there was a talk going around where Bluepoint did pitch From Software to actually make Bloodborne remake. That was a talk of Bloodborne remake, and Sony kind of greenlighted it. It wasn't even Sony's fault, but From Software said no, we don't want to let you do it. Well, they said no to like Bluepoint out of every studios, which I totally understand why. But like, what I think, one of the few things that I don't really understand about the situation, people go off there on the internet and blame that Bluepoint make a shitty remake of Demon Souls, buddy. If you can't afford PS5, that's fine. You can just say so because like there is no way in hell that Demon Souls is actually a bad game because that game has got a like 4.3 rating out of 5. That's a pretty good darn game, especially for a remake. That is really good. And even Miyazaki himself come up and say that the Demon Souls remake is actually a really good remake. And then like people only speculating, saying that like Demon Souls remake by Bluepoint was not actually good. All right, that's why From Software said no. Like, how dumb do you have to be? I apologize, but like you cannot be this shallow. There's no way in hell From Software and Miyazaki himself are going to be that shallow to actually demean someone else's fucking remake when they don't have the fucking ability to even make the game. They don't. The IP is not even From Software to hold. Actually, if not, we would have actually got a remake from Software for a long time. We could have actually got a fan-made version of Bloodborne PC port, but that one got sent by with a cease and desist from Sony. So like that explains a lot of something, you know. But like, and then like after the studio shut down, we got more studio news from Software. They actually shut down multiple studios that came by to From Software to allow themselves to make remake of Bloodborne, which I totally I'm starting to feel like, hey, this is a future shaker over here, so I want to tell you a little bit of the info that I just got. So, remember the info about From Software actually talking about, like, kind of saying no to, like, 10 plus studios? I don't know if I say 10 plus studios for actually suggesting an idea of, like, wanting to make a Bloodborne remake. Well, they might be not true. So, like, I check out with Lance, or, like, Lance McDonald tweet. He did say, like, it's actually not the information over there has been removed by the moderator from Reddit. I don't know what's that about, but it could be saying that it's actually not real. So yeah, that's the problem with this whole entire thing is that some of this rumors and infos that I've been actually getting around, I forgot to mention this, is that most of this infos that I'm getting, they are not technically real most of the time because like some of them they say like it's a real thing, but somehow we don't really have a confirmation from the From Software studios themselves. We don't even know that Sony even said this. We don't even know what's going on. So like the info about the Blue Point Studios was like a guy actually said that he actually went by and talked to like 4 employees from Blue Point Studios. And so like and we don't even know we don't there's no video and he just typed out everything on the Twitter. So I forgot to say this disclaimer that this is actually going to be a very put a grain of salt onto your wounds, okay? Because like no, actually the wound is already big enough, so like putting a more bunch of salt is already gonna be a very numbing moment for you. But regardless, this whole entire info, do not take it seriously, but it's just kind of lightly to think about like, what both side is. Honestly, I don't even know why I even make this video because it's kind of a little bit bullshittery. So, regardless, don't know if this is actually real or not, and I only got this info a little bit late. So, yeah, just don't really take it seriously. But at the same time, it's good to know like some of this info is from different parties and all. Okay, but yeah, peace out. From Software doesn't want to actually let anybody else hold for Bloodborne, without a doubt, because I would definitely be on their side. Because like, if there is going to be a chance to remake Bloodborne, I want to give it to From Software. I want Bloodborne to be made in the same engine as Elden Ring engine, and that will be phenomenal with new extra content. Because like, have you seen the amount of cut content from Bloodborne? Oh God, the amount of revival from that it would be immensely nice. But I'm pretty sure I've grown up to be just not even care about a Bloodborne remake. I've already outgrown it, and everybody just wah 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 about Bloodborne remake. Buddy, we got emulation to begin with. That shit already works, and come on, let's try to move forward from there. Okay, Sony did fumble from the very beginning, or where like they didn't even actually even listen to people's voices, and somehow they keep making games they don't really want and focus on Blue Point, which I'm gonna talk about Bluepoint. So the reason why Bluepoint shut down, there was a lot of miscommunication between Sony and Bluepoint, where Bluepoint didn't even got a chance to make multiple single player games for themselves. And when they tried to pitch it, Sony don't want. Sony actually decided to pitch it in a different idea for Bluepoint, which includes multiple live service projects. By the way, which I think like in 2021 or 2022 they decided to pitch an idea with Bluepoint about like God of War spin-off video game, but Bluepoint didn't know this game was going to be a live service games. And from there, that's a very bad look for Sony, because how can Sony make a game without even telling the idea of the game what's going to be to a studio? And then when the I think like 2 years or 3 years after development, Bluepoint actually noticed that this game is going to be actually live service, and 75% of the studio are kind of against the idea of making this game, which I totally am fine with that. That's totally fine. And then later on, that game, that live service games idea kind of got cancelled, and then there was another like Ghost of Tsushima spin-off game. There's also been planted with Blue Point, and then like Blue Point didn't get a chance to make that game as well, because like somehow that game also got cancelled. And then like Blue Point is actually still sticking their idea with like a little bit of like Bloodborne remake hope, and I don't know how did Sony never even come to that idea or fully committed to the idea, because like 8 years continuously people have been screaming to Sony to remake Bloodborne, especially Bloodborne, make an update for 60 FPS, which someone modded it out, but somehow the guy who modded 60 FPS for Bloodborne kind of got sued for some goddamn reason, or cease and desist. I don't know what happened. Um, uh, it's weird. This is where like I am actually like in a position of like don't want to go into this, because there's just so many weird things going around, and at that point we're never gonna get anything good news about Bloodborne, because it's just sad news and depressing stuff about Bloodborne. Studios getting shut down, multiple people coming by to From Software and trying to pitch the idea of like sequel and spin-off for Bloodborne, but From Software don't want to, because it's kind of obvious that From Software wants to make Bloodborne from themselves. They want to make the remake for themselves, because there is an interview Miyazaki actually did discuss this with the team, that they were asked the question of like, if there was going to be a Bloodborne remake, would you do it? And they would happily love to do it. They want to do it. Why does anybody not even let From Software even make a Bloodborne remake? What the fuck is going on with this gaming industry? What is going on? And I wouldn't mind it, because Bloodborne is a really special game for Miyazaki himself. If there is something special for me and someone dares to touch it and reinvent the wheel, I will never let anyone touch it at all. Because like people already love Bloodborne. It's a one of the few different kind of games that we've never seen at all, other than Lies of P. But that's a newer game. I just why can't we just have a Bloodborne remake in From Software way, okay? And people on the internet are not actually any better. They keep blaming onto like Bluepoint, saying like they didn't do the good job, and then someone misinformed saying like the Demon Souls shit remake was bad, and then like Sony is actually like stupid. Because they are kind of stupid for actually trying to push out live service stupid games when we don't even ask. Which, by the way, they are making God of War live service games. By the way, that's what they're planning to do from Sony. Excuse me. And now with the closing of Blueprint Studios, which, by the way, amazing studio, but they just don't even have got a chance to make a single player games they wanted to do, because Sony has been using them to actually border multiple exclusive games from PlayStation to PCs, which they did a phenomenal job, by the way. Bluepoint has nothing but praise, very talented team. But I don't get it. Why does Bluepoint have to get shut down when there are studios like I don't know, Naughty Dogs still exists, when that already has 700 employees in the studios, while Bluepoint only has 70 or 40 employees in that studios. I don't really understand because they're still pushing out games for the Naughty Dogs when that The Last of Us 2 was a clear bad game, to be honest, which I know for sure people love that game. It's a flawed game in my opinion. But regardless, From Software is actually really passionate about Bloodborne, without a doubt. They have very, very good passion for the game. And for a Bloodborne remake, I think we would like if we actually just continuously just keep on getting the copium. I think like there will be a day where we would get a Bloodborne remake, but I'm pretty sure the way that we want it to be, it's not going to be very easy. Unfortunately, with this whole entire there's like just a huge amount of like multiple different parties coming in trying to take credits where credits are due when credits are not even actually due, and trying their best to actually take the spotlight because they know Bloodborne remake is actually such an easy money to make. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good to even actually have a Bloodborne remake at this point. I feel like just give the Bloodborne IP to From Software because like From Software did most of the job for a Bloodborne to begin with. It's Miyazaki's vision for making a game. And honestly, this is also a thing where like I don't like about Miyazaki sometimes. Whenever he makes a very good game, those good games are going to be locked by exclusivity. And I'm looking at Dustblood by the way. Dude, Dustblood is probably one of the few most unique games From Software has ever made, especially like after Elden Ring Night Ring releases, and we can see the vision where the Dustbloods might actually be a really interesting game. But unfortunately, that game is going to be blocked behind Nintendo Switch 2 exclusivity. Why, Miyazaki? Why? I don't really understand. What was the idea here? Especially when the game has been prototyped for like since Sekiro came out. I don't understand what is going on. So yeah, everything about Bloodborne is just depressing and sad, just like how the game lore is. And we will never really get what we wanted from Bloodborne. But like at least the good part about this is that emulation is actually a thing that we can happy for, because it's already been too late if Sony even tried to make a remake, literally, because like Bloodborne emulation is already a thing. You can look at it on YouTube. There's multiple videos about people actually using emulation for Bloodborne to make it actually look good, look better with a multiple mods and everything to make the game stabilize in 60 frames per second, and being able to access all the card content when they can. It's actually really good with how the community has been striving for Bloodborne on PC port to be as a dream come true. Sony fumbled the chance. Well, they're gotta actually eat up the chance now. No, I mean they gotta eat up the consequences of their action now. I'm just saying. But anyway, I think I talked way too much. Hope you all love there. Have a lovely night. I'm pissed off, but at the same time, kind of outgrown with this whole entire situation. But yeah, peace out, y'all.